Hi, I'm Lisa, a youth services librarian in the mountains of North Carolina. For 3 years, I was the project manager of an IMLS LSTA grant-funded project that we called Alphabet Ready. And through that project, we were able to create story times around every letter of the alphabet, and then we took those story times as outreach into every pre-K and kindergarten class in 2 of the counties that make up our Appalachian Regional Library System. And so in this series of videos that I'm doing right now, I've been talking about the letter C story time. In the previous video, we created the puzzle. That's kind of how we begin our alphabet story times. And in this video, I just wanted to talk to you about some of the book titles that we use in the letter C story time. So we've already talked about the sound that letter C makes, so at least one of the sounds that letter C can make. And then when we introduce a book, I always point out to the children the title, Do Cows Meow, and ask them if they can find the focus letter, which is letter C, in the title of this book. So you can use any books in your library that work best for you. As a matter of fact, if you would leave suggestions of comments of other books that you think would work well for a letter C story time, we would really appreciate that. But here are some that we have used and have worked well for us. So Do Cows Meow has worked especially well with the pre-K group. And I'll just show you one of the pages in here. I love books that rhyme as well, which works on that phonemic awareness component. So, do cows sing? Do cows coo? All I know is cows go moo. And then there's many animals throughout this book, and the children seem to really enjoy Do Cows Meow. Another book that I would use with the pre-K is the Cuddle Book, and this is an older book, but I just love to talk about the word cuddle with them and what that means. And again, love the illustrations in this book, and you know, different animals and how they cuddle. Ducks cuddle with their beaks, and elephants cuddle with their trunks. And then I love this, but for crabs, cuddling is hard, but they're still making an effort at it. So that is another book we like using with the pre-K. Now, I have found that even though this book is longer, that it works well with a pre-K. There's just so much action that they can participate in, and I'm sure you're all familiar with it since it is an older book. But again, I would read the title, Caps for Sale, ask them if they can find the letter C in the title, especially since we already made it with our puzzle, and talk about how uppercase and lowercase c look the same. They're just different sizes. And then also talk about the word caps, because that's not a word that the children are necessarily familiar with as a synonym for the word hat. So when I asked children at one point, what is a cap? They talked about the lid to a bottle, a drink, or also something that you put in a cap gun. So I thought that was interesting to, again, help dialogue about vocabulary and how caps is another name for hat. Another book that we like to use in our story times that I'm sure you're all familiar with is Pete the Cat. I Love My White Shoes. Again, we'd have them find the letter C in the title. With the pre-K, I actually take the book around to each child and let them point to that letter. And sometimes, you know, the children still are not sure which letter is the letter C, but as I'm bringing the book around, they see which letter that their neighbor pointed to, and then they'll point to it as well. So we're just trying to think of many different playful ways for those synapses to get connected in their brain, and ways for them to be successful in finding the letter C. I'm going to link, if you haven't seen it already, on YouTube, there's a great video of the author, Eric Litwin, telling this story while the illustrator is holding the book and another fellow is playing the guitar. And if you haven't seen it, I think you'll enjoy that video. So I'll link to that as well. I love Clara Caterpillar, but this is a long book with a lot of vocabulary. So you have to really know your audience to know whether this book will work or not. And I'm going to read just the very first page to you so that you'll get an idea. I love the alliteration of the hard sound of letter C in this book. And on this page, you kind of have to do a little bit of seeking to find the egg that has been laid on the cabbage leaf. One day, a cream-colored butterfly laid an egg on a cabbage leaf. "Grow up to be courageous and contented, Clara," she called to her egg as the wind carried her away. So much great vocabulary in this book. So if you're not familiar with it, take a look at it. If it's not at your local library, ask them if they could either put it on hold and bring it there from another library for you to look at, or ask your library to maybe purchase this title. It would be a great resource. Another book I love for a letter C story time is Cows Can't Fly. And here I might ask the children, how many letter C's do you see in the title of this book? And I like this book partly because it rhymes, and I am a sucker for a rhyming book, and rhyming helps with that phonemic awareness skill, but also because I think this book is about, possibilities that other people don't see. So on this page it says, "And everyone I told downtown," about the cows that fly, "and everyone I told downtown was much too busy looking down. No one saw the cows but me, but what a sight they were to see." And that's not quite the end, but this is another fun book for a letter C story time. And then this one, you might wonder why I picked it for C. Dog's Colorful Day does seem like it might be a little bit more appropriate for a letter D story time, and it would be. However, I think I was actually struggling to find book titles with the letter C that had the hard sound of C in it. I really like Cookies by Rosenthal, and she's got the Christmas cookies and some others in that series, but I just didn't feel like they worked as well in a story time setting. So in this one, it's almost like a trick for the children because the C is in one of the smaller words in the title. So I would read the title, Dog's Colorful Day, and ask them which word has the sound of letter C at the beginning of it, and see if they could find that letter C. So I don't always pick a book where it's so obvious that it would go in letter C story time, just to give the children something not so obvious to look for. And in this, the subtitle, A Messy Story About Colors and Counting. So some more letter C words to introduce as well. And then I thought I would just share with you this series of books. It's a set called Alpha Tales, and the letter C book from that series is called Copycats. I don't think you can buy these books individually. I'm not 100% sure, but I bought them as a set. And occasionally I will use these in my story time as well, even though they're not very long at all. So in this book, and the one of the cats is copying the other cat, but always in excess of what the first cat did. And "I can carry a cup of cocoa on my head," says Cleo. "Can you?" "I can too," says Clyde. "Look out for the car," yells Cleo. Clyde crashes into Cleo, and the cups crash to the ground. Clyde looks at Cleo, and Cleo looks at Clyde. They are both covered in cocoa. "I can stop being a copycat," says Clyde. "Can you?" "I can too," says Cleo. So this is reminiscent of the alliteration that was in Clara the Caterpillar, but a much shorter story. So those are all the book titles that I had to share with you that we use in our Storytime kit when we're doing the Alphabet Ready Storytimes in the schools. If you have, like I said before, any suggestions of other books that feature the letter C in the title, especially books that have the hard sound of C in the title, I would love it if you would leave those suggestions in the comment section underneath this video. And if you enjoyed this video at all, if you could give us a thumbs up, that would help us out on YouTube. We appreciate that. And so, in the words of Tigger, ta-ta for now.